Okay, hey George, nice to see you at NAMM. A very handsome booth Kilohearts have here. How have you been?
Very well, thank you. Yeah, we're having a good time. Obviously, tired voices, tired feet, but It's only day 2 of 3, so more energy to come.
Yeah, so we're looking at Phaseplant, I believe, which is, I've heard there's a lot of buzz around this. I know Andrew Huang swears by it. There's a lot of people who really kind of dig this. And you're using an Osmose, which must mean NPE, I'm guessing, right?
Yeah, that's it. So it's a constantly evolving modular synth system in software. It's almost completely modular. There are a few things that are hardwired, the inputs, the outputs, just to make sure that it's easy to use, but pretty much everything in the middle you can customize to your own tastes. So right in front of us here, we have a patch set up, ready to go. PWM for Nick, created by Navi Retlav.
Bless you.
And you see on the left-hand side several pulse waves moving around and being modulated.
Yeah.
It's just one of the many things you can do in Phaseplant. If I now click the new patch button, you see what it looks like when you open it for the first time. It's a blank canvas. And that can be daunting for some people, but we've done everything we can to make it simple and manageable. Generators go on the left here, effects on the right, modulators at the bottom. It's as simple as that, and it's always laid out the same way. So you make it as complex as you want to make it. You make it as exciting and as crazy and as inventive as you want. But if you just want to do something nice and simple, you can, and there's no clutter. So, for example, I click in this box on generators, and I can load in a simple analog saw wave, sine wave, something like that. We'll do a nice simple saw patch.
Right, so it's kind of modular. You've got different oscillator types, different filter types, different everything types.
That's it. We've just added a granular engine here, which allows you to load in samples of your own or from a big factory library and manipulate them in great detail, of course. So tons of fun to be had. We've got a wavetable system, we've got samples, we've got noise, we've got FM, all kinds of stuff, but it's up to you what you use and when. So you're not overwhelmed with options, you have them there ready to go. Same thing down at the bottom with modulators. We can work with LFOs, envelopes, multi-segment envelopes. We have all kinds of stuff that will be familiar to modular enthusiasts, but it's all selectable when you need it, rather than having.
Are there any kind of getting started templates? So you can say
there sure are, right?
Subtractive or a basic granular.
In the preset browser here, we have a folder called Tutorials, which has a few simple layouts and setups that give you an idea of what's possible. And I didn't pick one in advance, but let's check and see if we can find maybe something like, how about filter modulation? The filter in the generators section can be modulated at audio rates.
Nice.
Now this is a fun thing, you see, because these green icons denote audio rate modulation, and there's a lot of different options for audio rate modulation. Here the cutoff and the Q of the filter are being modulated by, it seems like a sine wave there. So we've got some sources there for modulation. These are not entering the audio stream, but this one is, and those are being modulated there, and hopefully that's nice and clean.
I like that animation. That makes things nice and clear,
absolutely.
The direction it's going in as
But
well.
again, big debate about this. Should you have all the modulations visible at once? Should you have them there the whole time? Well, it gets a bit busy, a bit cluttered. So we've left it so that you can hover over, see everything that's going on when you need to, but when it's not, it's nice and clean. And the same thing goes over in the effects area here. It's worth saying all of these in the first 3 columns, these basic effects, are free as part of our Essentials collection. So there's about 32, 33 plugins which can be downloaded for free from kilohearts.com. Just make an account and get going. And they also snap into our hosts. We call them snapins, not plugins, because into Phaseplant and our other effects rack hosts, you can snap these effects in. So let's take, for example, a comb filter. It's just a nice, simple, basic layout, all about ease of use. There's nothing super clever about it, but when combined with all these other effects in your own particular ways, you can create almost any effect you can think of. So maybe we want a little bit of distortion. And then if we wanted to do, for example, some multi-band processing, we can load in another host plugin within Phaseplant, Multipass, which is a band splitter, which opens up in its own window. Nice. You can have up to 5 frequency bands and process them differently with different effects chains. You can move the cutoffs, of course. You can even modulate the cutoffs, the volumes of the individual lanes, etc., etc.
So are these snap-ins Kilohearts only, or can you run Is it just
Yes,
run as
it
a
is.
host
It's
as well? Right,
it's
okay, it's not a host.
Kilohearts ecosystem.
Right,
we
got you.
we have it all contained at the moment. No third-party stuff is
Understand.
included in there, but it's fun to say you don't really need them because all of these elemental effects are included in there. You've got filters, you've got basic delays, compressors, comb filters, chorus, all of these, and a few fun, unusual little things as well, like the tape stop plugin, which is a simple tape stopping effect, which will wind down the playback speed and wind it back up again. We've got a thing called trance gate, which is equally
I can
fun.
imagine what that's. Maybe we should have a couple more patches. Let's see
Of
a couple
course,
of nice
absolutely.
examples. That would be great.
Let me show you something that we're particularly keen on, which is a sort of a realistic-ish instrument modeling thing called Flutophone, and it shows you some of the breadth of what's possible in Phaseplant. This is no samples, but it's a reasonably
So is there a physical
real
modelling
well,
module?
there's actually, I think mostly this is achieved with FM here,
Right, yeah.
but there are lots of options for physical modeling, whether it's through the resonator snap-in, which is a kind of coupler strong resonant delay-based processor,
Yeah.
which can be key-tracked and played as a sort of resonant instrument, or you can use resonant filters in our EQs or any other kinds of combinations of things. The point being that it's all elemental, modular, you build your own exciting things from the ground up.
Okay, more sounds. Let's go.
Yeah, absolutely. So another thing we do is content banks with named artists. So for example, the German bass producer Nasco did this bank here with us with a nice logo and artwork and his own take on bass sound. So this is a cool color bass sound, and it's that's one style. It's also great for smooth pads. Let me see if I can find something real nice and smooth here. So this is a nice pad sound by Aravane.
And is that all working with MPE as well? We got polyphonic.
Well, yeah,
suppression
so
bell.
this is a reasonably new addition, but we have MPE modulators so that if you want to build a patch involving pressure or aftertouch MPE timbre controls, you go into the modulators section at the bottom, you select those modulators, like for example MPE timbre, which on this keyboard is mapped to that depth of the key bed, and you can press deeper on the key and have that modulation applying to anything in your patch. So maybe you wanted it to make your waveform frequency go crazy, so you would just click the orange button, click the pitch, drag it up however much you want to play with that, and then
just the sort of thing I'm looking for.
Exactly, that's my extent of creativity when it comes to these things. I just want it to go whoa, whoa, all the time.
I mean, audio rate stuff and FM, this all requires a bit of CPU. I mean, how efficient is it?
Yeah, well, it's funny you should say it. The guys who code at Kilohearts, the founders and the developers, they come from a game audio background, right? So they're
used to 16K.
They are used to trying to keep things nice and neat and tidy, and it, I think, shows in the interface. It's all designed for smooth workflow. Nothing is extraneous, nothing is unnecessary. Obviously, using things like global unison, which splits all of your voices and makes more, you can almost immediately kill your computer because there's a lot of power in there and you can duplicate and stack it up. But almost anything you might normally do, we're running on a pretty old laptop here and it's working beautifully. We have a little readout there. If I get that Flutophone patch up again, it's a reasonably heavy one, and we'll see whether the meter looks good. If I can spell it, where is it? It's gone, there it is. And if I move that to one side, we'll see the Ableton CPU meter. So that's running at about 14, 15.
Right, so I mean, but I guess on modern sort of Apple Silicon and the
absolutely,
all that kind of stuff,
yeah. I mean, of course, you can blow up almost any computer if you start adding. We have up to 32 oscillators if you want them, and obviously all the modulation you can manage and effects stacked and stacked. So obviously you can do almost any damage you want, but it's pretty efficient stuff.
So this is available now. I mean, it comes presumably with a bunch of patches.
Yeah, well, so all of these factory patches are included. So all of this stuff with categories from bass to pads to effects, keys, drums. Those are included hundreds and hundreds from great sound designers, Venus Theory, Navi Retla, Solid Tracks, lots of great people.
Right.
And we also, as I say, have these sold separately artist content banks, which are further collections. This is Venus Theory's extension bank, which includes a lot of MPE stuff. We have a
that's
little
all
number
sort
from.
of is that within plugin? You could buy that stuff, or do you do that?
Yeah, you can grab them through the installer, I think, but it'll connect you through to your account at kilohearts.com. And it's an open playground, really. You can really build some stuff up.
So formats, I guess, AU, VST.
Yeah, AAX, and that's it, I think. Yeah. For
And
now.
what about pricing? And what's
There's a couple of ways to get into it. One is a subscription with subscriber rewards coming back to you every year. So it's almost like a rent to own. You pay $9.99 a month, and at the end of 12 months, you get a $100 voucher back to spend on perpetual licenses. So maybe you really like the synth, but you're not using the multi-band processing so much. So you might just buy the perpetual license for the synth, for example.
What's the price of the perpetual license?
The perpetual license for the synth, $200, $199. Multi-band processor, Multipass, is $99, $100. And Snap Heap, the basic effects rack for serial and parallel processing, is $29.
Right.
And as I say, all of those 33, 34 effects are free. So you go ahead and make an account and you get those to use in your DAW as standalones right away. So that's a pretty nice little deal.
Thank you very much, George.
Hey, it's always a pleasure. Do you want to hear something else, Mad?
Yeah, let's play.
Let's just grab one more exciting noise from Audiction here. This is a kind of IDM creative bank. I like this one, Front Schwein, mostly because it's a funny word. And I have no idea what's going on here, so we could just open up and investigate. There's a sample, there's some wave tables, you know, but it can be as extensive or as clean and tidy as you like. It's all there. So almost infinite possibilities there, and creative sound designers should grab it a whole bit and have some fun.
Thank you, George.
Yeah, pleasure.